Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we introduce you to inspiring educators from across the country. In New York, we see how one school's teaching methods could be a model in reversing a nationwide decline in reading comprehension. And in California, we meet an extraordinary teacher going above and beyond to look after her students who've been greatly affected by the LA wildfires. But we begin with a critical issue facing millions of middle and high schoolers: excessive cell phone use. 50% of American teens spend 4 or more hours on their phones every day, according to the CDC. Meg Oliver hears from 5 New Jersey students who traded in their smartphones for flip phones and experienced some surprising results.
Like most 8th graders, 14-year-old Ben Cohen-Victor has a cell phone. Unlike most, his is a flip phone.
Why did you want to try a flip phone?
I knew that something had to change because I was not getting my work done. I was very anxious. I was biting my nails a lot.
It all started last February when Ben lost his cell phone on the school bus.
I was without a phone for sort of 2 days, and I realized how my days were just so much longer and more full.
So much better, the lacrosse goalie made the radical choice to buy a flip phone.
I feel very proud of myself.
He used to average up to 5 hours of screen time a day. Now it's about 30 minutes. A CDC report says half of American teenagers spend 4 or more hours on screens. Teenagers with higher daily screen time are more likely to experience anxiety and depression.
It can be distracting.
So we asked 4 of Ben's friends, Carson, Renita, Jameson, and Maya, all 8th graders in New Jersey, to try flip phones for a week.
What is your average daily screen time on your phone?
10.5 hours.
10.5 hours? What are you doing on your phone for 10 hours a day?
Watching Gossip Girl on TV and TikTok.
They were curious but skeptical about the experiment. Jameson says he isn't doing as well as he wants to in school.
I think my phone's a big factor in that.
Although Renita plays 3 sports, she admits wasting time on her phone.
Then I'll realize 30 minutes or an hour has gone by.
Carson agreed to participate, but the avid basketball player was nervous.
As I got closer, I started having bad thoughts about it.
But Maya, who loves studying English and just started rowing, is hoping this trial helps her at night.
Hand over the phones. Let's see. It's going to be okay. Thanks, Jameson. Are you ready? Here's your new flip phone. Do you know how to text on there?
No.
No.
It's day 2. It was hard because I didn't have my phone.
Carson didn't make it. He asked for his phone back within 24 hours.
What have you been doing without your smartphone?
I just sat there and stared at my wall until I'd practice.
How do I add a new contact?
The others stuck it out, sending in mostly positive reviews.
I have been sleeping a lot better. I'm a lot less tired during the day.
I don't have my Apple Pay, which really doesn't help.
I finish homework so easily and faster.
Hi.
Hello there.
How are you?
7 days later, we reconvened.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
And Jameson, what was the positive for you?
Well, I talked to my parents a lot more, and I went out a lot more with my friends.
What did you learn from this?
I think that not your whole life should be on your screen. There should be things just off of that.
I think it helped them even in ways they don't realize.
In February, it will be a full year for Ben and his flip phone. His friends may not want to join him full time, but he believes it's never too late to make a change.
It doesn't have to be something as drastic as completely getting rid of all your social media. I still have an Instagram account that I will use on my computer, but it's more about doing small things that you can bring together to just fix that constant need.
A smart lesson learned without a smartphone.
Wait, Ben, what do I do?
We shift our focus now from high-tech distractions to learning fundamentals. New national test results have found that not a single state has scored above pre-pandemic levels in both reading and math. Caitlin Huey-Burns visits a school in Washington, D.C. to see how educators are working to reverse these troubling learning losses.
When you get a day off, what do you do with your day off?
Go to sleep.
We went to Kramer Middle School in Washington, D.C., where we met 8th grader Aiden Wiggins. He and his classmates spent about a year and a half in remote learning during the pandemic.
What do you think was the hardest thing in school after the pandemic?
I would say math.
Math. And why do you think?
Really in quarantine, I really wasn't paying attention.
Aiden wasn't alone. New national test results show that not a single state scored above pre-pandemic levels in both reading and math. That's despite nearly $190 billion given to schools in federal pandemic relief funds. Mohammed Karoma teaches 8th grade English language arts at Kramer.
What kind of challenges do you think still exist?
We're still trying to fill in those gaps that they didn't get at the lower levels, because it's hard to grapple with an 8th grade text if you're on a lower reading level.
So a lot of kids just didn't have that foundational experience.
Indeed.
And a study from Harvard, Stanford, and Dartmouth cites a widespread rise in absenteeism, especially in high-poverty districts.
The biggest thing is to just get them inside the building. Once we get them in the building, learning is going to happen.
But the study found some bright spots. More than 100 local school districts are performing better in math and reading than they were before the pandemic. Public schools in D.C. aren't there yet, but over the last 2 years, D.C. ranked first among states in terms of recovery in math and reading.
All right, STEM, who has STEM? Let's go.
Katrina Shelby is the principal at Kramer.
So how did you do it?
I started thinking, maybe I need to think about this differently. How can we make classroom sizes smaller, but give kids more opportunities to get remediation during the school day?
That includes what they call high-impact tutoring, which was successful in other districts, too.
So this is kind of like having a private tutor, but inside your classroom during school hours.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. So it's just like a tutoring resource place, but they get it here. It's free to the students. It's free to the families.
D.C. also invested some of its pandemic funds in more teacher training, giving $1,000 stipends to some who completed courses. Success, says Principal Shelby, breeds success.
Giving kids that additional support in literacy and math didn't just impact how we were able to grow literacy skills, we also were able to reduce truancy by 20%. So in 1 year.
So they were seeing their own progress.
Yes.
In real time. That was
in
encouraging
real time,
them.
and it was encouraging them.
Coming up, we meet an extraordinary choir teacher who's lifting his students' voices and aspirations. This is Eye on America. Welcome back. Some educators can inspire and shape the lives of students long after they leave the classrooms. Adrian Macklin of Cordova High School in Memphis, Tennessee, is one of those teachers. He's the winner of the 2025 Music Educator Award, presented by the Recording Academy and the Grammy Museum. Nancy Chin introduces us to this inspiring teacher.
In this Memphis classroom, there are voices that lift the soul. This is the senior concert class at Cordova High School. But the harmony here extends far beyond music.
In shorthand, your students just refer to F-163. What does that classroom mean?
They know that F-163 is home.
Adrian Macklin is the head of this makeshift musical household.
We don't refer to ourselves as a choir class. We refer to ourselves as a choir family.
You call them Pops?
Yeah, he's a real deal father figure in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
We sat down with some of his students, both former and current.
And he had this energy. It's like an attracting energy that you just want to be around. He gave me life lessons. It's not just about choir.
When I first moved here, me and my family were having a little bit of some financial problems and some transportation issues. And Macklin would pick me up at 5:30 in the morning, take me to school.
Macklin's dedication and sheer determination, changing the course of his students' lives.
I came into high school and hooked up with a couple of people I thought were friends. I got myself into a little bit of trouble, and one day they told me my schedule had changed, and I go to room F163. I went maybe like 2 weeks telling them, I don't want to be in here, get me out. By that third week, I was singing everything.
And now you want to go into music education.
Yes, ma'am.
That brings tears to my eyes when he told me that at the beginning of the school year.
When you consider the number of lives that you've impacted, what do you think?
Oh gosh, there are kids that come in, they're dealing with things, they're troubled. I've had kids come in homeless, and my smile, me caring for them, I know that I've made a change in them.
I hear you, altos.
Macklin, who began singing in church as a child, decided to dedicate his life to teaching when he too was in high school, a choice made when he and his best friends auditioned together for a state competition.
They made it, I did not.
And you thought?
I helped, I did that.
So you weren't jealous or mad?
Was not jealous, was not mad. And I think that's when the light bulb came on and said, this is what you want to do for the rest of your life.
For almost 20 years, Macklin has taken his choirs around the country to showcase their talents. And those talents, he insists, need to include academic excellence as well.
A funny saying he has is he's not gonna take around a bunch of singing dummies around the country.
In Macklin's class, you'll find the school's top 3 academic achievers. Natalia Crosby was her class valedictorian.
What did it mean whenever he told you are representing not only yourself, but a community?
It was a lot of pressure because we're a choir of predominantly African Americans or like minority students. So we already have like a vision in other people's minds of what we are. It was just like, okay, let's go in whenever we sing, whenever we perform, and let's show them that we're more than whatever they could think that we are.
If you were to say something to Mr. Macklin, what would it be?
A thank you for believing in a kid who probably sometimes didn't believe himself. You mean the world to me. I love you so much.
You've taught for nearly 2 decades, countless students.
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
It's the joy of seeing them be successful.
Wait for it.
Knowing that the little part that I did made a change in your life.
Cool. Can we do that in one more?
We turn now from music to English. Only 31% of 8th graders are proficient in reading. But one school in New York City is implementing new strategies to combat this trend and is seeing positive results. Here again is Meg Oliver.
2 years ago, 13-year-old Liam Simonera was struggling in school and transferred to St. Joseph in Brooklyn looking for a change.
How do you feel when you're coming to school every day?
Tired. With algebra, I have to wake up early, but I like school a lot.
That change paid off. The 8th grader is now testing above grade level. He's a member of the robotics team and is a passionate reader.
Do you read a lot?
Yeah, way more than I did.
New data shows scores nationwide in reading have dropped 5 points since 2019. The pandemic didn't help. Now, only 30% of 8th graders across the country are proficient in reading. But here in the Diocese of Brooklyn, almost 70% of students currently in 8th grade are thriving in both English and math. Deacon Kevin McCormick is the superintendent.
Did you have to change the way you were teaching?
We had to change the way we were thinking.
It all started pre-COVID when they noticed a decline in scores. The district implemented new strategies, including specialized coaches that monitor teachers like Sophia DiMartino to make sure lesson plans are effective.
How does the coaching help you teach them?
My coach, Stephanie, she's so wonderful. She helps to support me. I'll be like, well, I'm not sure about this lesson. Can you help me? And she'll just tweak it a little bit. Be like, instead of doing X, Y, do Z, A. And then I go to do it, and it works perfectly.
They also tailor instruction to each student's skill level by breaking into small groups.
How do they teach you differently?
So we all learn the same stuff, like the same subject. What happens a lot is smaller groups are taught that subject in a way that it's easier to learn for them. And then sometimes it's also just the whole class.
What's your biggest concern if students at this age don't learn to love reading?
It is a huge concern, and it can have disastrous effects almost. My kids want to go into the NFL and things like that. You need to be able to read your contract and really understand the tricky language that can be in a contract.
A third of students in this district receive financial aid. Tuition and fundraising pay for the new programs.
Could this be a model nationwide for schools across the country?
I think it can be. First of all, everyone is welcome. That's the key point here. The second part is that we accept the kids for where they are and bring them to where they can be.
A possible lesson plan that just might pass the test.
Ahead, why one woman who lost everything in the LA wildfires is still going above and beyond for her displaced students. That story is next. We close our show with a message of hope in the aftermath of tragedy. Sean Brown is the executive director of a charter school in Altadena, California. The school and Brown's home were destroyed in the Eaton fire earlier this year. Gail King speaks with the remarkable woman who is working around the clock to ensure her students continue their education.
Even in the ashes, Sean Brown knows every inch of her school.
We kind of kept the littles together.
I love that, the littles.
Yes, and then their play area was right here. So then you have the books in there that they're charred, but they're still there.
Yeah, look at the pages.
Yeah.
Is it hard for you walking through this, or are you just thinking all the things you have to do? Or maybe you've already had your moment.
No, I haven't had any moment to think about anything. I had to go from hearing that the house and the school burned down to figuring out what am I going to do with these kids.
Brown opened Rosebud Academy back in 2007 to give the community she grew up in a place for students to learn things like critical thinking and financial literacy.
Hey, Brooklyn, how are you?
After the fire, she knew she had to keep her students engaged.
You tired too? It's been a long week, huh?
So they found a meetup point, and Brown and her staff quickly came up with a plan.
So the first week after all of this, we scheduled field trips.
We're visiting the California Science Center.
One of our pillars is exposure and experience, and so we really like to get our students out of the community. And we know that travel is a huge part of thinking bigger and dreaming bigger.
And because you were so insistent about creating normalcy for the children, do you think they realize how bad it is?
I don't think they, understand the gravity of it. They know their school burned down, but I think that a bigger part of that is that they know that we still have each other.
But Brown students still needed classrooms. After a long search, her team found a solution. The students met up and were bused to their new temporary school. Amber Trejo's 5-year-old daughter, Kyra, is a Rosebud Academy kindergartner.
She thinks that we're on vacation, which is, I kind of like it that way because emotionally it's been very hard.
Trejo's childhood home, where she lived with her grandmother, parents, brother, and children, burned down.
We had everything in that home. My whole childhood was in that home. But we will rebuild and we'll make it stronger. And just like to say, Altadena isn't for sale. And we're going to keep our home.
She says still being able to keep her daughter in school gives them both a sense of normalcy.
It makes me happy. It makes me happy for her.
When the students arrived at the Beehive in South Los Angeles, they were pretty happy too.
It's a high-tech place, and they serve Black and brown students. It's in LA, and they really bring kids in to help them learn more about the tech fields and encourage them that they can get in those fields as well. And they worked around the clock that weekend to outfit each of their studios into classrooms for our students.
Staff at the Beehive went out and got desks, chairs, and other supplies for the youngest students.
And then when the kids came in, they were just,
They were so excited.
Yeah, they were excited.
But this solution is only short term.
And then at the end of 2 weeks, then you're going to have to find another place.
Right, so we're continuing our search.
So you operate on what kind of basis?
Minute by minute.
Minute by minute.
Hour by hour, day by day.
Oh my goodness.
So, Mommy, do you see all of this?
Oh, Jesus.
Back in Altadena, Brown is still dealing with losing her home and the home she grew up in, where her mom, Gloria, was still living.
This is Wapello. This is Wapello.
Where?
You're on your Wapello.
This is her street.
Where's my house?
We getting there. See?
We went with them as Gloria and Brown's sister Thella returned to the neighborhood for the first time since the fire.
So the car is right behind
Right,
there.
it's burned.
Oh, that's a car. There.
Yeah, right there. Oh my, it smells still.
Yeah, you can still smell it.
Gloria has lived here over 50 years.
Why did it take you so long to finally come and see it?
You know, I thought I was gonna cry, but I didn't cry. And I usually cry at the drop of a hat, but I haven't cried yet, so I'll get home tonight and cry.
Gloria insists she will rebuild her home, and Sean says she hopes to build a new Rosebud Academy.
We would really need funding to rebuild, and that is like been the ultimate goal for the school. Even when I started it, it was like, start this, but the long-term goal is to build something amazing for our students.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news, stream us right here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.